Hi, everybody. Welcome to the very first book review for Zebra Reads. It's Season Z, Episode 1, so I'm very excited about that. So I'm going to be talking today about the book Journey into the Past by Stephan Zweig. It is translated by Anthea Bell from the original German into English. If you're not sure what Zebra Reads is, I have linked the About video in the discussion for this one so that you can watch that and see what this is all about and why I'm doing it. To start with these videos, what I first want to do is just talk a little bit about the authors and who they were and where they came from and why they did what they did. And so Stephan Zweig is actually a pretty interesting voice. Historically, he was born in 1881, late 1800s. He was born in Austria to a really wealthy Jewish family. And for much of his early years, he lived an incredibly easy life. He was very successful in just about everything he did. He got a doctoral degree in philosophy at the age of 23. And the foreword is written by Andre Ackerman. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but he describes Zweig's work as effortless. And sometimes, forewords are a little over the top or whatever in praise. But in reading this book, I kind of agree with that. The story was just natural. It started where it should. It ended where it should. There was nothing missing. There wasn't too much of anything. It just seemed to really tell itself. And this was a really good story. And I think that as we was a really good writer, having read this. However, despite his general success in most of his endeavors, Zweig and his wife Lottie Altman committed suicide together in 1942 in Brazil. They'd been married only about 3 years. He was only 60 years old. But he was an Austrian Jew right during Hitler's Germany. And so being an Austrian Jew was not the thing to be at that time. And so prior to writing this, Zweig had moved from Austria to England. He then moved from England to the United States. He then finally moved to Brazil. All of, it's trying to get away from this consistently dangerous sociopolitical climate that continued to follow him because of Hitler's taking over and the war. And this need to constantly start over again, and the pressure and the stress that comes with it actually comes out quite a bit in this book. So Ludwig is the protagonist of this book, and he is sort of forced to do the same thing, start over again and again and again. And you can sort of feel what that must have been like for Zweig and his wife in doing this. And in the end, it just seemed easier to end everything than to try to start over yet again for them. So while suicide seems to be kind of an extreme reaction for Stephan Zweig, reading this book, I was able to kind of get a sense of the despair and that loss of sense of belonging that he must have been going through. He's sort of caught between two worlds. He didn't fit in any of them any longer. And, he couldn't go back, and he doesn't want to try to keep starting over moving forward. So the book itself is very short. I try not to give any spoilers in my description of the book. It's a novella. It's a love story. It has both a foreword and an afterword in this, so it didn't take very long to read it. It's a story about love and the endurance of love across time and circumstance. It is an unlikely love affair. It is somewhat inappropriate. It is certainly ill-fated. And the two lovers keep kind of getting drawn apart from each other and then trying to get it back again. So there's this constant persistence of trying to get back to what they had. And so in the end, when they finally can get back together, the question, of course, is can they? Has too much changed? Has too much gone on? So that's what it's about. My take on it, which is a little difficult because I'm biased, right? This was the first book I picked up off of the shelf. This is the first one of my Zebra Reads books before I even conceptualized or thought of Zebra Reads and what it was going to be. And so I got this years and years and years and years ago. I read it years and years and years and years ago, and I thought I'd lost it. I couldn't find it. And so when I had finally thought, okay, I'm going to do this Zebra Reads, I'm going to do these reviews, I'm going to talk about these books, I couldn't find the book to do the review on it because it'd been so long since I read it and I wanted to read it again before I tried to write the review. So I was kind of frustrated because I couldn't find it and I really wanted to write this review. Sorry, my lights went out. But we moved houses and I was rearranging my bookshelves in my new house and I found it. And there it was. It was just sitting on a shelf. And so I was really excited about that because it meant I could go ahead and write this review and do this. So this book is kind of special for me in that respect. Overall, this is a love story, and I don't really love stories. I'm not particularly fond of them. There was a bit of a twist on this one that made it maybe a little bit more interesting for me. It's a December-May romance. I don't think that's a spoiler. It's a December-May romance, and it's a married woman, which I didn't love either. So those were things that I kind of didn't enjoy in reading the book. It does take place in Europe in the early 1900s, before World War I, actually, and it is very prim and proper to fit the times. So the writing is a little dense, it's a little formal, it's a little abstract, it's kind of dreamy, it's kind of philosophical. So I thought it was a really well-written book, and I really enjoyed reading it overall. It wasn't the easiest book to read because of the language and sort of the properness of it. The end doesn't really give much closure, so I kind of found that to be more sad than anything, and that might have to do with, personally what I have been experiencing myself, or whatever it was. But I think the book made me more sad than anything else. I read it very quickly. It only takes a couple hours. I would totally read it again. I've read it twice, once originally and then once for the book review. And it's a good read. It was a short, quick read, and I really liked the way in which that Zweig was able to in such a short amount of time bring out this intense relationship between the main characters and make it feel real and make it feel alive. Who might like this book, who should read it? If you like short stories or love stories, this is a great book. I'd totally grab it. Zweig develops these characters so nicely and in such a short period of time. It's an intense story, but it's deep, and it was just well written. It was just a well written book. The time period, it might be kind of compelling. Like I said, it takes place right around World War I. And what was particularly interesting to me was the way that the wealthy families were able to sort of move around the politics of war, which wasn't the case for everybody, right? So they could kind of get away from it. They could leave, they could go places, they could escape, whereas others weren't able to do that. And so it was interesting, an interesting thing to look at. So, are there people that may not, are there things about it that people may really dislike and maybe you shouldn't pick it up, content warnings, that sort of thing? Not really. The genre and the time period are very benign. Just the polite, maybe. It's proper. It's a very proper story. There is a lot of romance. It does focus on the idea of ill-fated love, and it sometimes comes across as maybe annoyingly hopeful. So, some people may not enjoy that sort of idea. Again, the woman in the story is married, and she's having an affair. And that dynamic was a little bit frustrating to me because she just seemed bored. And that's why she was having an affair. So that was kind of annoying to me. I didn't love that part of it. And so if you're in a situation right now where personally or in the past you've experienced something along those lines, that it may be bothersome for you to read. And again, the end is ambiguous. And the end isn't particularly straightforward. So if you want like the big, happy, clear ending where, everybody lives happily ever after. And again, I don't think this is spoilers for this. This might not be the book to pick up because it ends in sort of a general kind of way. So that's my take on Journey into the Past. Bottom line of the book, if I wanted to one sentence overview it, I would say it's about how love will find a way, but you can also never go home again. So that's sort of like the overall big picture of the book. In the description, I have some links for where you can pick it up from a couple of stores, secondhand and new retail, in case you're interested in it. If you know anything more about Stephan Zweig than I know, like I said, in the about video, I'm not a historian and I'm not an expert in literature, and I don't know any of these people. I'm just looking them up and finding some interesting things about them. Please feel free to comment and let us know if you've read it. And you have a different take on it, again, please let us know. And I will see you in Season Z, Episode 2. Thank you very much.